Good evening and welcome to this edition of the DeFacto Review, where we bring you a weekly discussion of news that are shaping Mongolia. With me in the studio is Mr. Gerald Sachen. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Aruna. We are live on Facebook at V Television. Please join us also on Twitter, #Gerald_DeFacto. Coming up on the program. Are Mongolian political parties truly democratic? Research shows that this might not be the case. Parliament delays action to combat corruption in an open hearing about funding of political parties. Is it time for the Mongolian government to stop control of fuel prices? In 2016 and 17, the campaign financing strategies of Mongolian political parties were shown to be the major cause of corruption. This, according to the Washington Post, is the fundamental weakness in the heart of democracy. 10-year-long survey conducted by the Sant Model Foundation confirms this conclusion. And in the spring of 2018, the DeFacto Institute also made an independent assessment of the state of democracy in Mongolian political parties. Could you please tell us more about your research? How many people were involved? What is the scope of the data? And how many political parties were partaking in this research?
Before I answer that, I would like to say why we are doing that. Because for parliamentarian democratic country, it's the only institutions which takes through direct and open election. The whole state power is political party. So political parties must be themselves democratic inside. Mm-hmm. And without internal democracy of this party, they cannot make country democratic, right?
Yes.
So one of the reasons why we are becoming with certain mistakes on the way towards best democracy, we are connecting it with the political parties' internal democracy. In fact, we were looking for the alternative in the world, and we found in Israel there is an institute called Democracy, which has been doing the same thing what we want to do. Mm-hmm. So we have been talking to them, we have called them, we got advice from them. So we have their methodology a little bit adapted to Mongolian conditions.
Great.
And you ask about the political parties. There are Supreme Court registered 28 political parties in Mongolia, mm-hmm. Okay? And from the 28, 10 have completely refused to work with us. 12 had promised to get connected back, which they did not do, mm-hmm. in spite of our zillions of calls. Mm. So there's only 6 political parties have participated in our survey. And you asked about the way how we were conducting it. Survey is consisting of qualitative and quantitative part. Mm-hmm. Qualitative part is consisting of, we have selected 10 experts who study internal party democracies. And we have made a semi-restructured interview with these 10 experts, right?
Mongolian 10 experts?
Mongolian 10 experts who knows those political parties. Some of them are from the political parties. Okay. That's why we have selected, so that we have a balance. Mm-hmm. Quantitative-wise, we have, total some 500,000 political party members in this country. Mm-hmm. Every 6th person a member of the political party in Mongolia by registration. Mm-hmm. But by actually we have big doubt, because those who agreed to participate in our survey, 6 political parties, including the 2 large parties and other 2, 3, 4 parties. That will down the road we will mention the names. And these parties members, we have called thousands of them, and finally got 348 persons participating in our survey. And based on this survey, using our methodology, we kind of attempted to make the first kind of, even maybe not very exactly picture of the real estate of the situation, but we attempted to have at least some scratch some outlines of this political parties inside system.
Thank you. As I understand, this research involves 4 criteria based on the Israeli model. Could you please tell us more about the 4 criteria and the results based on these?
Yes. Actually, it's 4 method, 4 segment we have studied. First, participation of members in decision making. Second, competition inside of the party, to be, for example, to put their names into the leadership and in the higher ranking positions. The third is transparency of activity, whether the members know all, or are they informed, are they know what kind of decisions are made. That inside of each of them, the fourth is the financing of the political parties. And each of them has also on a lot of methods that we put a questionnaire, and by phone, we were asking all the people by phone interviewing. We got the name and list, phone name from the political parties, leaders, and with the conditions that we will not disclose from there to others, from us to our third party. So we made this 4 measurement, and the first, participation can have only 20 scores, competition 24, transparency 24, and financing 32, because we have weighted them according to the importance of the weights of they can play in the development of internal policy, internal democracy of the political parties.
So to clarify, sorry, you mean 24 out of 100 members of parties were participating, were transparent, etc., or what
no,
is the
this scores, total score is 100, and we have taken this 4 competition, participation, we gave on weight.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
So from participation, maximum you can have 20, the political party, and the Mongolian political parties on the average they got from 20 to 10, so 50%, right? For competition inside of the party from 24, 17, 70%, transparency from 24, 9, and from financing 32, 11, or this 34%. So you can make, first was the highest was the competition, second participation, third transparency, fourth 34% was financing, which obviously is the issue of Mongolian political parties strengthening and development as institutions. So what does it mean? Inside of political parties, members relatively compete. They participate relatively. The third, transparency is much less. Fourth, financing is secret. So that's the conclusion we made. And for Israel, if the political parties have scores above 60 to 100, they are democratic. If it is under 30 to 30, from 30 to 60, it's semi-democratic. Under 30 should be non-democratic. And Mongolian political parties scored, for example, the 6 political parties. Let's go one by one from the top.
Okay. Democratic
Party, 54.2. Mongolian Revolutionary Party, 51.7. Ikhornam. This is Ikhornam, Mongolian Motherland Party, 51.4%. Hungnam Labour Party, 51.2%. Mongolian ruling party, Mongolian People's Party, 48, and Civic Will and Green Party, 42.7 score. So this is the rank from Democratic Party all the way to the Civic Will and Green Party. And all these parties, as you see, the maximum, the best party is about 54%, which is under 60, which belongs to the category which is called semi-democratic. So based on this poll and survey, we made the conclusion that Mongolian political parties, at least the 6 most transparent relatively parties, are semi-democratic.
So does this mean that Mongolian parties are you mean semi-democratic? Is there such a term, semi-democratic?
It is not such a term, but if you make 3 categories following the Israeli method, that's semi-democratic. So that means democracy is still in the very youth, not that democratic. And in fact, if the members don't know about financing of their political parties, how this system can be democratic, for example, in Mongolia, right?
Yes.
So that's why we want to appeal to people that with this knowledge and information, at least, maybe not very accurate, but at least around certain feature of the character of political parties in Mongolia.
So it is neither democratic nor totalitarian, let's say.
Yes, yeah, in between. Yep.
You have previously stated that, I quote, only by outside pressure from public and individual members from within can this corruption be stopped in Mongolian political system. What do you mean by that, and what do you see as the specific solution to this problem?
The specific solution to the problem is, first, we need more democratic political parties inside more democratic political parties. Second, this system, this state can be achieved only by 2 pressures: from inside by members, from outside by society. Because as I told, in democratic system, all the political parties takes over, right? Political power. So we first need to make these Mongolian political parties democratic by all means. There's no other choice. That's what is to be made.
What can the public specifically do to stop this?
First, to know where are these political parties in terms of internal democracy.
Okay.
Second, what are the most missing points, which is in this case financing. The next one is finance. Next one is what was the transparency.
Yes.
So, and this can be achieved only by the pressure of public in bigger terms, and this pressure can be made only when they know where to push. So now we demand whole society, and we must, for sake of our development of our country, for the sake of our future, we need, as a member of the society, to make a pressure on political parties to be more transparent in terms of their financing, in terms of their activities.
Okay, thank you. I would like you to please elaborate more on the financing issues on our next topic, which is also related to corruption.
Yes.
So, according to Transparency International, in 2017, Mongolia is placed 103rd among 180 countries, and it's scoring 36 out of 100 points on the corruption index. Some parliament members are trying very hard to improve this situation in Mongolia, and 3 days ago, about 19 members of parliament signed a petition demanding an open hearing on the case of corrupt ways used to fund political campaigns. During the 2016 elections, leaked recordings showed that the leaders of the Mongolian People's Party were estimating $25 million of income while attempting to sell public positions. What is the potential impact of this hearing on the next elections?
It's huge, not only on the election. on the way how Mongolia will go, how we will unload with this heavy load of corruption. Because without unloading, without combating these corruptions that start from financing of political parties, as you said, where they sell public positions for money, we cannot have clear way of development, because it will be hindered by people who are corrupt, who will try to avoid all kind of control, demand from the public. So it's a very key issue, this open hearing by our parliament system. Because we are a parliamentarian country, we have a system in parliament, hearing system, an open hearing system, where they would, for example, invite the person who revealed the secretly recorded video recording to the public, which is regarded now, this turned out to be illegal. This recording, they say, the High Court sent, District Court, I think, sent a letter to Parliament member Oyung Yirtin, who restarted all this movement in which they demand public hearing, right? And according to this district governor, district court decisions that first, it was a fake recording. Second, they check it 1740 public officers check it whether they ask them whether they got the corruption or not. A very funny like for a child explanation by the court. First, how you can make such a good play with real actors, this is 1 hour recording with fake way. Second, you ask just 1700 people, public officers, whether they are corrupt or not. Of course, who will say corrupt? Even we have 180,000 public officers, none of them will say, I am corrupt. So this is a fake, also much fake answer to the court, by the court. And you said 19 members supported, right, this petition. And if the rest is not demanding and not supporting, in particular Mongolian People's Party, who has a power in the parliament, these members will have a big problem. Just today I started a social media movement in which says that we will not elect people, parliament members, who is not supporting that sanction, that public hearing petitions. So I think now it's already rolls on. 3 hours ago I started, now some 20,000 people are supporting this idea. What I'm saying is, this Mongolian People's Party has to have this hearing. If they don't hear, there will be a big problem. This party will disappear with that 5-6 leaders from the political arena at next election.
You mean the party of 19 members, or
the
NPP?
People's Party itself, if they don't do this petition. Because there will be everything has certain tolerance level. Mongolians come into that level of the corruption. And now the head of the political party, speaker, is trying to be innocent and trying to go like nothing had happened. This show will not go on their side. And either this People's Party will disappear with that recording, with that people who is denying all this stuff, or they will re-emerge as a new political power, or reborn new political power, because this party has the longest story. This is almost 100 years old political party. So there are some rational members inside who sees that if we don't do that now, we don't clean up the political party, we will disappear. That's the rational voice from inside of this political party.
Thank you. With regards to the financing of parties, you know that there is a law in the Mongolian constitution that requires parties to report their campaign financings. Why isn't this law? Why is it so difficult to enforce this law?
There is a special law called Political Parties Law, partially mentioned in the Constitution, as you said. And also, inside of this political party laws, there is a financing of political parties. And there are a third law, which a particular law called election law, which specifies that after within a month after election, each political party is to report people where they got money, and it is to be taken. This report is to be taken by Mongolian General Election Commission, which they don't do. I remember just once they put it for a few days, some Excel sheet of some financing, which completely was fake, I believe, and they just tried to show us, they want to cheat us that they have reported. For a few days they put on that disappeared. And there's, among the Mongolian political parties, out of this 28, by the way, we were talking about, only 3 has websites. 25 has no website whatsoever. Some of them have a Facebook page, but some of them have so many of them that you confuse which one is official. So public has not proper ways of seeing what is the political parties are about. So as per your questions about why we are not enforcing, because court system which is supposed to enforce political parties are completely dependent on political parties, where they are not supposed to be on anybody, right? But they are completely dependent. Even Mongolian Election Commission was a former minister from one political party. The other one is from the other political party. And so whole Mongolia is completely watched, controlled by so-called political parties, which has a secret financing we don't know, and which is a source of corruption in the country. And today, Mongolian citizens came to the growing awareness that unless we clean political parties' financing, we cannot clean whole development. So I think this time it is very hard, almost impossible for Parliament not to have petition. Otherwise, they will pay a big price afterwards.
You have partially answered my third question, which I was going to ask you about the specific solutions to this problem. As your team has received the Anti-Corruption Award of the Year from Transparency International last year. So you would know, what are some specific solutions to this corruption issue?
It's a matter of they have a draft of political parties law. That law should be discussed and adopted. If it is approved, then this will be the environment of political financing will be different. And based on the Mongolian political parties anyway are financed from the budget now, depending on how many seats you have in the parliament. And if we finance political parties from budget, like in Germany, like other countries, it should be matching to the fund they have raised, for example, from public and private sector. But with the conditions that every donation should be clear and reported on time. Even in Germany, for example, within 1 day, you should report from where you got money. And in Germany, there is no limit, but everybody knows from where the money comes from. So the solution, one solution is to solve the problem. One solution to solve the problem is this adoption of new laws about political party and political party financing.
Okay, thank you. Our last topic of the night, we're kind of running out of time, so we'll be quick on this topic, but it is a big topic anyhow. Last week in your article, you addressed the problems of the quality of fuel distributed in the consumer market of Mongolia. You wrote that only 10% of fuel is meeting international standards, while the other 90% is lagging behind by 22 years in quality. This is poisoning the environment, its people, etc. A large amount of fake fuel has been sold by companies according to the so-called Fuel Consumers Association. So what is the cause behind this problem?
Well, two things. You said about, first let's talk about the quality and the standard. Mongolia has standards, but it turned out this standard is only equivalent of European standard from 1996, so-called Euro 2. And today Europe and North America has higher quality requirement of gasoline, engine, etc., and they call it Euro 5. And it's about not only, like Mongolia, the amount of octane in the gas, but also about the poisonous gases they are extracting after they consume the engine, the gas, right? In Europe now, even the car producers are limited by that standard. You cannot have a engine produced that is giving out to the spraying out to the
poison
air,
in the air, yes.
These pollutants.
Pollution.
It turned out not only the particles, but also very chemicals, you know, the nitrate chemicals, and so many other 20 or so standards they are requiring. And Mongolia even not having the standards required. So first, Mongolia needs to increase our standards, which is used when you bring fully import fuel at the border and at the points of distributions.
Who is responsible for these standards?
Standards, we have a particular agency, a standard agency, which I hope after all this, they will upgrade all this. However, I think there is a big lobby, I think, from the distributor, importer of gas products to that, because it will be more higher price, and it will be harder to sell in Mongolia. And plus, now that we are coming to the question of price.
Yes.
Mongolian fuel price is established by the state, not by the market supply and demand. How? They have, oil is commodity that is all fluctuating, right? Every time it's coming ups and downs, it has cycle. Now it is on the way up, but they demand the price to be not changed. It's hard because up to now, government was using one mechanism of so-called excise taxes. If the price comes up, they decrease taxes. If the price comes down, they increase taxes, so that the food importers have a permanent level of profit, which distorts the market, which distorts the prices information. And that's people got the wrong information, like, well, I mean, this price will not be changed, so I will use the same way. In fact, the whole world is changing their mentality of consuming. If it's very expensive, don't drive big cars if you cannot afford. Or if it's, so the price issue is very important.
So, in order to solve this problem of fuel, the government needs to slowly relinquish control on fuel pricing, yes?
Exactly. Not slowly, even they should do right away, because, the government thinks about elections.
Yes.
But this price take care of is always distorting the market. And what I am afraid of, it may even stop supplying of gas into the country, because the companies cannot afford anymore to import the gas, and one day we will not have gas, and maybe when Mongolians don't have car, then we use horses. So probably we will have more horses, but the horses, they probably cannot make plates, so they cannot limit days of running horses. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When will Mongolia produce its own fuel finally?
Oh, good question, because last week there was one deputy minister of India who, with our prime minister, broke the ground for new refinery under the financing of Indian government, $1 billion. And so hopefully once they break down the ground, hopefully it will go. Unlike the power station number 5, which they have broke the land 10 times. So hopefully it will go, and within 3-4 years we will have on a refinery.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all for this edition of the DeFacto Review.
Good evening.
Good night.